Welcome now, my fellow Tarnished, as we begin our exploration of the lands between. What secrets will we find in the hidden catacombs of Limgrave, the swamps and marshes of Liurnia, and the rotting wastes of Caelid? Equip your best summon, ready your smithing stones, as the Jambags gaming podcast becomes your go-to dedicated guide for all the best Elden Ring content.
Wait! What is this? A dedicated guide for Elden Ring. We're a gaming podcast. We're about more than just Elden Ring, aren't we?
Yes, Dante, because the latest game released by From Software has landed, and it is an epic journey. Exploration, battles, perseverance, and...
Yeah. I've heard of the game, blah, 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 blah. But what do you mean dedicated Elden Ring content? We're about more than that.
I mean that we, as a humble Tarnished, will set out towards the Erdtree and guide our listeners on the journey.
But why are we dedicated to it?
Oh, well, that's easy, because Elden Ring is, really popular right now, and everyone on YouTube is producing out videos for Elden Ring, and it's like a viewership, lottery win. So we stick any old content about Elden Ring out there, and people just lap that shit up. Nom, 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 nom.
I can't fault your logic. That is 100% accurate. Yes, almost all of my timeline and social media feeds are just people sharing Elden Ring stuff.
I know, right? And we're both playing it right now and loving every stressful and frustrating second of it. The epic vistas, the weapons, the pot with arms. Oh, it's genius on every single level, isn't it?
I'm not playing it.
Wait, what? Sorry.
I said I'm not playing it. It looks like a good game, but I've never really gelled with Souls games. But I'm no Skira fan. I'm going to wait for a price drop. I can't spend that much money on it.
Shh. What do you mean you aren't playing it?
Rudy, why are you whispering?
Do you realise what will happen to our credibility if it emerges that you haven't even bought Elden Ring yet? We'll get our gamer badges revoked. You know that. Playing Fortnite's one thing, but not playing Elden Ring. Oh, the horror, Dante, the horror.
Oh, come on. That's ridiculous. I'm interested in playing it. I've got a lot on at the moment. It's not that high on my list. It doesn't mean I'm any less of a gamer.
Oh, Dante, you crazy ass fool. Of course that's what it means. Absolutely anyone who plays games on a console or PC is playing Elden Ring and making content about it, except for you. Even your two children are playing Elden Ring. They both did a summons to help me on a boss last week.
Okay, they did say they had to save someone's sorry ass in the game they're playing, and he bribed them with chocolate or something. I don't know, but I didn't realise that was you. Mm-hmm. Anyway, are you saying that I now need to get Elden Ring and play catch up with you if I want to contribute to this month's podcast?
Well, I am afraid so, yeah. And let me say, it will take you some time to catch up with me.
Why? How far in are you?
Oh, I'm only about 92 hours into the game.
Jesus, how you must be ridiculously leveled up.
Yeah, well, you will not believe that I am nearly on level 3.
Level 3? That sounds shite. How much of the map have you unlocked?
It's not as simple as that, Dante, and you'd understand that if you're playing the game. It's not about the map, but the progress and the skills that I've unlocked through the time I've been spending on it.
You have not made it past the starting zone, have you?
I have not, no. But my skills are sharpening up with every single encounter. I can now kill a very low-level soldier after 6 or 7 goes, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure after that amount of hours playing, you should be close to finishing it by now.
I doubt it. I am pretty good at Souls games. I think this is pretty much an average.
Okay, well, since we've been talking, I've downloaded it, started playing it in the background, and yeah, I'm already on level 4.
What?
And hello, Jambaggers. Welcome to another edition of the Jambags Comedy Gaming Podcast. With me, your esteemed host, Mr. Dante Rodriguez.
And myself, Mr. Rudy Manchego, co-host extraordinaire.
And how are you feeling, Rudy? Are you all recovered from all the various infections and different styles of herpes that you've had over the past month?
Yeah, I've had sinus herpes. Obviously, COVID, then sinus herpes. and then
I thought those two were the same thing.
no, one I tested negative for the second time, but it was definitely sinus herpes. So yeah, so I have my voice back, kind of, which is probably bad news for most of the listeners thinking about it. But
it's bad news for me, but I don't know. It's probably touch and go for a lot of our listeners here. But I'm glad you're feeling better, and glad we can start recording again for this month's edition.
Yeah. So we've got quite a lot to get through. So I don't think we'll have too much of a show, but we haven't caught up in a while. So I guess the question is from you, Alonso, what have you been playing since you haven't been playing Elden Ring? You're the only person in the entire world that's not playing it.
I have finally been playing a little game called Cyberpunk 2077, which is nice to finally get to play after 2 years of it being in post-launch bugginess.
We're definitely nearly a year and a half in, aren't we? Or getting to that way.
Yeah, about 18 months. Sort of thing. It was a December release, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's that sort of thing. So it's and it's nice that it. Well, I don't want to talk about that because there's a news story about it a little bit later on. But I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. There are some problems, but it's a good story. It's on its way to being a good game, but it's definitely a good story.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the story of it. I think you've spent more time in the world, but I would say that I think that the latest major patch that you're playing has improved things like the map and some of the elements of the side gigs and stuff like that. So I heard a lot of people say that some of the quality of life stuff has it just kind of made it easier from a playability perspective. It's still got some of the same bugs that I noticed when I first started playing it back in on day one, basically. Yeah. But what, pray tell, are you playing right now, as if I really need to ask Mr. Manchego? I am playing that new Kirby game. No, of course I'm not. I am playing Elden Ring, and it's a bit of a shock to me that I'm playing Elden Ring. Not because because I wouldn't say I'm genuinely, I wouldn't say I'm a massive, FromSoft, nerd, as we've commented on many times about Bloodborne. Could not get on with Sekiro whatsoever.
Big on Dark Souls or Sekiro.
I'm a Sekiro fan cover song.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And also I've never really gelled with, the Dark Souls games. I might go back and play them, but this game I bought it on a whim, a little bit because of FOMO, because guys, maybe G, Any Button Gaming, it's like we're going on about it.
Did they bully you into making you buy the game?
No, not that.
They bullied you into making you buy the game, didn't they?
No, but they didn't need to, because I'm so weak-minded that they were gone about this new game and everyone's got the new thing, and I was like, I want to have the new thing as well. And I bought it, and then in about 2 hours I was utterly addicted to it. It's just so addictive. It's probably, I'm not going to go on to say it's the best game ever made, but it is, as an open world, it's probably one of the best examples ever made, because the difficulties, and I don't like the difficulty in Souls games. That's the thing that puts me off, because I'm not great at games.
Yeah.
But it does mean that it's worth exploring, because everything you find will make you stronger and therefore make the game easier. So there's a real incentive to explore. So it works really well. It is. That was
the thing with Sekiro, wasn't it? Because if you just couldn't handle that boss, it was a case of constantly kind of grinding up against that one boss until you figure out his patterns and get good enough. Whereas with this one, like you say, you can go somewhere else, find some better gear or level up.
Yeah,
and then come back
that's true. So I got to the point. There's a point early on in the game, and it teaches you this, where it tells you go this way. And I was like, no, there's going to be a massive boss fight here. And I was seeing on Twitter, I was just like, no, I'm not going to start it. So I just wandered off for like 5 or 6 hours before even going anywhere near the first proper mainline boss. And then came back and then breezed through it, because I'd been doing it. I wasn't just like grinding or anything. I was just exploring the map and finding stuff and fighting random enemies and finding tunnels and fighting mini bosses that were a lot easier. It took 1 or 2 goes to get, and I was all getting a bit stronger, leveling up, getting better weapons, experimenting. I'm not entirely sure my build's good, but I'm not kind of like a build guru either. Some people get really into it, and I like hitting things with a big sword, so I tend to put my skill points into being able to hit people with that big sword.
Yeah, no, I've heard there's one particular class which is better for beginners than others, but so I was probably going to Google that when I eventually do pick up the game.
Yeah, but you can respec as well. Anyway, once you get to a certain point in the game, you can respec your character, so it's fine. But I'm just really enjoying. It's rare to like. There's just so much to do in it, and it all feels beneficial. And there's like you just randomly stumble on an area, went down a lift. Turns out that there's an entire area, not to say a little area underground, like an almost map-sized, huge underworld world. And there's 2 or 3 of those I've found so far that are just dotted around the place. It's a great. It's a really good game. And what it's meant is that the other games I was intending to play first, which I spent money on, such as Horizon, Forbidden West, I just haven't had a chance to. So I will come back to that. The only other game I'm playing at the moment is that I thought, something to chill out. I've got my PlayStation Vita out, going for my old games library. Thought I want to try a Japanese visual novel, so I'm playing Psycho Pass Mandatory Happiness.
Wow. Anything with the word mandatory, and it does sound particularly J to me, for just kind of one of those words. I think possibly because of the Serenity Fruit Yodi bar, there's the word mandatory in that as well.
I do not understand this so far. I'm about an hour into it. I don't know why. I find most anime hard to get on with, not because it's bad, just because my own comprehension levels trips fit. But I'm going to persevere because I've started now. And it's only, I think it's about 5 or 6 hours long.
Well, good luck with that. I think I did pick up that same Jedi Knight pack that I got you for a present a while back for my Switch.
Ooh, yeah, it's good. That solid. That.
Yeah, it's properly reliving some youth there as well. But again, I'm really only kind of playing that a tiny bit because I'm very close to finishing the Cyberpunk and looking forward to seeing what ending I get.
Well, I can guarantee that at some point there'll be boobies, and that's all that really matters.
Boobies!
Yeah, or bottoms, if you're not into boobies. There's man bottoms, I believe, depending on what your choices are in the game. So,
Wow. Best game ever then. I don't know. Are there any boobies in Elden Ring?
Oh yeah, there are boobies in Elden Ring. But they ain't nice boobies. They're like any creature you find might have sexual organs, but they're on the wrong kind of creature. You're sort of like there's loads of there's a wizened old hag that have the tits down to her legs. I was
going to say, is it like the water hags in the Witcher games?
Yes, but those are kind of like the NPCs. They're the good guys. The other ones are really messed up. But anyway, you've already said no to making this an Elden Ring podcast, so we're
going to have to actually talk about some gaming news.
Yeah, so let's get into the gaming news, and I promise I won't be going on about Elden Ring. And hey Jambaggers, welcome to From the Jambags. This is our monthly news section where we give you the best,
the brightest,
yes,
the most amazing, the definitely not made up gaming news.
Yeah, this stuff is good, and I can tell you right now and say that this will be, as we said, Elden Ring free. But I'll kick off the news cycle with this first one. So, on Elden Ring news...
Sorry. This is starting to get like Hollow Knight for me.
Another great game, listeners. On Elden Ring news, the game from Software. That's really hard to say, by the way. They did that on purpose.
It's very hard to say. It's very hard to Google.
The game from Software has shifted a staggering 12 million copies in only 12 weeks in new sales. And that is bigger than all the previous Dark Souls games lumped together. Yeah,
whoa, all the Darks, all of them combined?
Yeah, Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3. I'm not saying every sort of From Soft sort, but there's just
that's madness.
But what's interesting and even more impressive fact is at the same time, it's estimated that there are now approximately 11.9 million copies available in second-hand stores and on eBay. And weirdly, an unrelated stat, but the demand for new controllers has gone up by about 11.9 million. Ooh. It seems a vast majority of gamers have oddly needed to replace theirs in the same time.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Do we think that's to do with... rage quitting because of the difficulty?
No. Because I got a quote here from one gamer who put a comment on Reddit, and he's put that Elden Ring's a great game, but I just don't have the time to invest in it right now. As for my replacement controller, it just weirdly broke into 37 small pieces and damaged my wall at the same time I got to Margit in the game. Weird, huh? So Margit's been being that first boss I was alluding to earlier. So it's just weird. It's just interesting, some sales stats. I don't think they are related. That
that haptic feedback breaking the guy's wall. That's Surely you could sue for something like that.
Well, I mean, obviously it's an accident, got nothing to do with playing Elden Ring at all. But I think it's interesting that it's one of the biggest selling games, obviously, of the year, and also one of the biggest selling second-hand
games.
Yeah, and also one of the biggest selling controllers this period. We're going through a weird period. Obviously, everyone's controllers just broke.
Oh man,
randomly.
It is just so great for the economy that all this stuff is boosting just the new game market, the second-hand market, and the controller market.
Hey, look, gaming's bringing up the global economy. But onto one of the games that you've been mentioning quite a lot.
That's a game that you've been playing in the first story. By some weird coincidence, that this next story is about the game that I've been playing.
Almost like it's scripted.
Yeah, funny that. It is finally a finished game, meaning that it is in the same bug-riddled state on consoles that we would generally expect a full-price AAA game to release at right now. It's only 18 months too late, and it's still got all these bugs in it. So, CD Projekt Red have announced that an even vaguer set of roadmaps will be released. But in order to access them, you will have to build a decoding device, much like the one described to you on the DVD extras of the IT Crowd, if you've ever kind of done those weird nerd challenges and learned the weird nerd language that they make you do. So having done this, obviously, I've discovered that in another 2 years, it will actually become a fully polished product, a bit like The Witcher 3 did. Took about 2 years for a big patch that made it a much better game. Same thing's going to happen here, we think. Probably finally actually worth what Dante paid for it in the first place, but will probably be on Game Pass or PlayStation Network for free by that point anyway, and Dante will lose it again.
And can I just ask, out of interest, what you paid for it when you first paid for it?
When I first paid for it, I pre-ordered it from a company run by a certain Jeffrey person, and I paid £50 for it and got some steelbook, which I don't really care about.
Okay, so I bought mine on PC after the launch debacle and paid £14 for my copy. So there we go.
Yeah, I feel incredibly burnt by the whole process. In fact, this probably should be in one of our rip-off of the month segments. But
it's a good point. That's a good thing. Let's make a note of it on your
things not to do again list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, on to another one of things that staying in the theme of we're staying on the theme of open world games. That's my segue, right? Which is that Elden Ring's a big game, not the biggest map in the world, got a lot of content in it. Night City, big old map, got a lot of driving to do in that game. All of that though is just like looking a baby dick compared to what I'm talking about now, because Ubisoft, in a new bid to remove itself from the shielding and protecting of abusive management, we've touched on that possibly a few times before, has announced patents that will use cloud technology to allow an infinite number of players in a quoted fuck ton of an open world.
Oh, a fuck ton.
Yeah, wow. I think it's called Z fuck ton. Says one Ubisoft employee, we have always at the biggest and the best of the open worlds, our players have enjoyed their countless hours riding through areas they will only visit once to climb some sort of tower for the shits and giggles. Now we'll be able to take that one step further and offer towers that are bigger than our current open worlds, meaning that the towers will now have their own towers. Just completing 1% of the map will now take 14 human years, and at the end of the tower, you can then buy more XP from an online shop.
Oh, wow. Those guys over at Ubisoft, they know how to make a fun game experience, don't they?
Exactly.
14 years.
They are going, people have been praising, games like, Elden Ring, for, and the Yakuza games and open world games for being smaller, concentrated maps with a lot more to do in it. And Ubisoft have gone, no.
Totally the other way.
We're going to, people want bigger and bigger maps. They want it to have to travel hundreds of miles in real time. They want, if you want to go from one side of a map to the other and you've only got a horse, you're going to need to set up camp every 12 or so hours, for the nighttime cycle.
And you're going to have to kind of stop and find whatever feather or piece of crap you're supposed to pick up is there on your way, and chase whatever foxes or, I don't know, rabbits that you're supposed to chase.
Exactly. You'll have to take a poo in the woods.
Yes.
All that good stuff. So two very different philosophies. They are doubling down on going large, having the largest open worlds ever. I mean, the idea that towers will have their own towers
towers within towers,
is inception boggling, really, isn't it? But
it is. It's like decoys within decoys, towers within towers, and red herrings within turbots. Suddenly I've gone to fish. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know where you went with turbots, but I don't even know what a turbot looks like. Obviously a fish for a start, but
yeah, it's one of those. I believe it's red, but I don't know much beyond that. To be quite honest,
that's fascinating. Detour into
the fish thing. So anyway, to think about something that else is also deciding to shut up for a while. That's how you do a segue right there. Okay. We're moving into our final story of the night. Is that the long-running Shooty Shooty Bang Bang franchise is taking a year off for the first time in, is it 12 years? Is it over a decade?
Yeah,
I know. They're not going to have a game
even longer,
out
actually. Is it since is it 2008, 2009? It's been annualised? Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, it sounds about right. I think it was was it the first Modern Warfare, and then you had World at War. Sorry, no, that's a different cut series altogether, isn't it? And that's Call of Duty. That's not Shooty Shooty Bang Bang. Totally different things.
Yeah.
So arguably, re-releasing the same game year after year after year after year has become somewhat repetitive, apparently. I mean, Division and analysts expressed some puzzlement about how people, don't seem to be paying for it every year like they used to. I've got a quote here, going to kind of set the recording going.
I mean, normally we just slap on a new skin, change a couple of accents, Bob's your uncle, new game, rave reviews, and those morons out there will just keep buying it. But now, what with Shoot Shoot Bang Bang 12, War Soldier, that one underperformed a bit, and we've actually had to employ a writer that can write something above primary school level. What is the world coming to?
Well, that is a good question. I mean, I guess when they says above primary school level, they're going for sort of junior high kind of level now.
Yeah, so somewhere there, like the Michael Bay, sub Michael Bay level, I would say.
Wow, that's going to be. I mean, there's going to be an intricate plot line in there about how it's okay to sleep with an underage teenage girl.
Yeah, no, I think that's
Transformers. Okay, good. That's what
absolutely.
That's what I want to see from a good game is to take time out to understand why Sonic is not quite as illegal as it should be.
Yeah. Barely illegal, as they say in various different parts of Night City, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go into this too much more because we have a fantastic question come out later. Because I know that because I put the questions in the script.
But we do. Okay, that's good. Otherwise, we could talk about annualization of games and
don't save yourself, cowboy. I don't
Sorry.
know. But yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But they're taking a year off, which I think is, for just looking at this particular franchise to begin with, I think it ran out of ideas creatively quite a while ago. The games have roughly been the same, and I don't even know why they would come back at the same time as well, because it's just the same generic shooter, unless they completely invent it somehow.
What about, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the shooter, right? Yeah. You shoot. Your character turns up. Bear with me.
I'm with you. I'm following.
No, that was the idea. They've got a bear with them.
Oh, they got a bear with them.
Yeah,
wow!
Bear with me. Yeah.
Because they have the right to bear arms, so that means that they have their arms ripped off.
But this bear has got a gun made of arms. It fires fingers.
Okay, no, I would definitely play that game if I had a companion that had that. This is starting to sound a lot like one of the barmier Far Cries now, isn't it?
But what you could do is you could make it child friendly by having a mod or a mode where instead of having an arm gun that fires fingers, it's a rainbow fairy dust.
Yeah.
Squirter.
And that's the sort of thing that leaks out of people when they get hit by the rainbow fairy dust.
Oh no, I'm losing my happy jingles.
Happy jingles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm moist.
That would reinvent the series sufficiently, I feel.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I'm just, guys, hit us up. We've always got good ideas.
Yes. Yeah, we should be writing video games, not just doing, whatever this is.
Well, and I think that neatly wraps up our news segment on today. Shall we see what else is happening in the podcast?
Let's see what's going on in the wider world of gaming. day 29 of the Studio Head Big Brother house, and we join the action in the kitchen, where new housemate Mr. Hideo Smooterfucker of Wearsoft is coming up against some of the established housemates. Herbert LeFrenchman of Boobisoft, Bobby Cocklick of Activision Snowstorm, and Rand Mobucks of Digital Paintings. They're giving him a dressing down for being the new guy, and this is how it went down.
Oh, look, there he goes, eh? Oh.
Ha ha! Stick that up, you shiny Elden Ring piece! Ha 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 ha!
Call yourself developers. What kind of name is Wearsoft anyway?
It's impossible to Google.
Alright, leave me alone, you untarnished dicks. You may not address me until you have mastered the lightning reflexes of catching a crossbow dart between your teeth.
That's not what I expected you to sound like. What's that?
It's my voice. I'm from Japan.
It doesn't even have loot boxes in your game. What sort of game do you call that? How does anybody get rich from this?
Oh, silence, mortal. We made a good game and people bought it. That's how we make money, and you get more litigation. For shame on you lot.
What? No in-game currency? How else will people... Give me all you got! Give me all you got!
Oh, Bobby Cocklet, we at Wearsoft are not greedy corporate douchebags like you.
You lie, what? You're totally lying.
Okay, maybe we are, but we're much less blatant about it than all of you.
How is the players even know what to do without your main character constantly talking to themselves the entire time? It's how you say, the madness, the craziness, eh?
Yeah. And how come the PS4 version costs the same as the PS5 version? Pure lunacy, I tell ya. And look at it. No target, no quest markers. I mean, what kind of HUD do you call this? It's laughable.
We value exploration.
That's it. Next, you'll tell me there's not even a battle royale mode.
Nope.
Not even on your roadmap.
Oh, zutala.
I bet they don't even have a roadmap. Amateurs.
They're not even the proper studio. A bunch of, how you say, you fucking amateurs.
Yeah. I bet they aren't even treating their broads like crap.
How you say, I don't know, what do you say in HR, but they're covering up the, I don't know, the rappings or whatnot.
Well, actually, now that you mention it.
Oh, he is one of us. He is one of us after all. Oh, how delightful.
Oh, très bien, eh?
All right, come on, guys. Let's go stare at that girl in QA's rack and loudly try and guess her bra size, huh? Oh, yes, it is Tuesday, isn't it? Bravo, fellows.
And that comes to the end of another month of the Jambags Comedy Gaming Podcast. So all that remains for us now, Dante, is to have a look at some of questions sent in by our loyal and quite amazing listeners. And you can submit questions on the socials. We'll tell you what they are at the end. And, get us to answer with utter pointlessness your questions.
Not anything kind of serious questions, nothing like ending world hunger or disease or anything like that. Just completely inane questions. That's what we want.
Yeah. So we've got a really serious question here from our first question.
What?
Yeah. So
yes, please keep sending the questions in. I'm only joking.
Yeah, this is a serious one. So obviously, at the time of recording this, there is a war in Ukraine. Invasion from Russia into Ukraine. It is absolutely horrendous, as any military and war is anywhere. And obviously, one of the things that's going on is there's it's having repercussions where we're based in Europe. It's having repercussions across Europe and the world. So this question from Madshok, this one is a one that I don't think we can be dopey or silly with on this one. So I think I was going to lay it out. We'll have to probably get as close to a straight answer as possible. But with a view of helping those soon to house refugees from Ukraine, what would your pick be for the most chill, relaxing, uplifting, and universally understood game from any generation?
Ooh.
And that is tough. First of all, we should be quite clear that, please don't take advice. We are utterly unqualified to understand what anyone who's gone through a horrendous experience like that and has been uprooted would want in any way. And, so we won't be both our answers. No. All we can do is, but this is the internet, so we're going to pretend we know.
Yeah, that's what people do on the internet, and I'm going to pretend everyone would be happy to go fishing.
I think so. You're thinking kind of like stuff
Something,
like,
yeah, one of those Wii games. I don't know the name of it. I think someone mentioned one, but I forgot. It was something to do with bass.
yeah, is it
anyway,
like
but,
Bassmaster on the Dreamcast?
Yes.
You had like,
oh yes,
same similar thing on the Wii. You had like you could remotes, and on the Dreamcast you could get like a fishing rod remote. It was like released for a series of games. Remember that, like a white plastic?
I remember seeing it in a lot of charity shops and like discount stores.
Oh yeah, exactly.
For a couple of years after,
and I think that's a top choice because, as I said, video games are difficult because we're trying to find something that is just properly peaceful and relaxing. Most video games have an element of combat, which obvious reasons that might not be appropriate.
no, not at the moment.
Yeah, and then definitely I think with like even some more chill games, there's often quite a they tend to have like an emotional resonance to them. If you'd imagine playing something that's quite chill, but something like Journey or something, it's actually quite emotional and contemplative. And is that when you're trying to kind of get the atmosphere right, whereas just sit back and do some fishing. I like that. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, Journey's not a bad idea, but I feel like they may have probably had enough of kind of travelling and
that sort of
thing.
But it's that kind of atmosphere. There's a lot of melancholy. There's happiness in it, and there's periods of melancholy and sort of sadness and sort of depressive moments in those games, and a lot of similar ones. And I think, well, yes, they're chill, but let's just have something that's properly.
Yeah. I mean, Sable wasn't bad, but I'm pretty sure it was just ripping off Journey.
Yeah. The other thing I would suggest as well, which is an idea, is that I would pitch potentially Dreams on PS4.
Nice.
Because sometimes it's really useful, to have something to work towards and to express yourselves. And it's a blank canvas that's, really nicely created. Any kind of experience you want to put in there, you can do, and you can collaborate and stuff like that. So I'm going to go with use Dreams perhaps to build your own game, build the experience that you guys would want to have in there. And I think that's as much as we can do with being serious on one podcast, I think.
Without offending someone.
Yeah, we are back to what we were before. That's kind of like our, this is the cut-off now point for this one. Because Metal Shelf followed that up with another question.
Yes, this seems much more in our wheelhouse.
Which was definitely, I feel like there's a tonal contrast on these two. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying you guys might, sense that. But what game titles are one letter away from realising perfection? For instance, Street Fighter could have been Streep Fighter, where you play as Meryl Streep, travelling the world and kicking ass, which I think she already does. I mean, this is already played Thatcher. But anyway, Dante, have you got anything that you...
Okay, there's a couple I've come up with. I mean, not to go into kind of puerile territory like we may have done in the past with something like Cyberspunk.
That's ridiculous. We would never use that kind of humor.
Yeah, no, we'd never said that before. But the one I thought of, just because it happens to be a box that's laying around in my room at the moment, is I would change Max Payne to Ma Payne, where Max Payne's mum comes by and offers you tea and biscuits, and if you don't take it, she then goes into bullet time and kills everyone.
Wow. Would you... Would I like this pitch? So just to say, I'm already down. You got me in the pitch stage.
I've already sold it to you. We're making a game.
Yeah. I've got here's an idea for a moment for you, which is that her weapon in bullet time would be biscuits or Werther's Originals.
Werther's Original. Oh man, those things. Harder than nails. Those Werther's Originals.
Yeah, she'd like leap back. She'd throw the tray in the air, like so the tea would go like slow bullet time, and then like two hobnobs just flying through the air, like embedding themselves in like some punks.
Both eye sockets.
Yeah, exactly. Like expertly, while she's like leaping sideways, just throwing chocolate covered hobnobs at people.
You have to imagine. I mean, Max Payne being one of the great badass video game characters of all time, that Max Payne's mum would be a formidable character to do a game about.
I feel she would be, but she wouldn't be outwardly formidable. If you know what I mean? Because because Max Payne's not some kind of muscly like Superman. He's not Doom guy. He's just a cop beat down who can stay down time. But I think his mum would be like, she'd be like, "Oh dear, would you like a cup of tea?" And then it'd be like,
"How dare you be so rude? Have a biscuit to the face."
And then it'd go like, make that kind of bullet time noise. All the sound gets distorted. It'd be like, hobnob.
And also, she's from what, Liverpool or Birmingham?
I don't, at this stage, who knows?
Who knows? All right, what's yours? What's your one letter away from perfection?
You know, yeah, I'm going to go with this is not just one game. This is a whole franchise. Resident Weevil.
Oh yes, the lesser of two Resident Weevils.
Exactly. So I've seen Master and Commander as well. Anyway, right. What I would go with is the plot for this game would be difficult, but it's Resident Weevil. Yeah. So probably imagine I would set this one at the start of lockdown. Yeah, flour was hard to come by in the UK because everyone's baking.
No, everyone was baking.
Yeah.
And then
so you buy a dodgy load of flour off the back of some bloke in the pub. Yeah, unfortunately for the Weevils, and they take up residence in your house, and you've got to both bake bread because it's lockdown, you got nothing else to do, but try and eliminate these Weevils that are slowly spreading through all your wares. And it's kind of survival horror because you've only got so much flour to try and entice them out with because there's a lockdown going on. Yeah, and you've really got to try and take down all the different Weevils before they gorge themselves on all your hard won stuff.
So it's both a survival horror and a lockdown simulator. So is there a loo roll element to the game as well?
Well, that would be the DLC, which is that. Yeah, you can't use many resources. That's the survival element of it because they're not out there. So you can't use soap and hand sanitizer because you're not going to get any of that stuff again.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of it because you need to wash your hands when you're making the bread, but you can't use too much. And then obviously, toilet roll will be a whole DLC expansion. Like, what do you do?
Yes.
When you find the Weevils may take up residency in your only last toilet roll and are eating it.
You're really scared of Weevils and it makes you shit yourself, but not too much though, because you haven't got enough toilet roll to deal with that. You've soiled yourself.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So I'm going to go Resident Weevil. I mean,
let's make a game.
Yeah.
Let's make a game.
Yeah, I mean, I had I had a few other ideas I want to throw out there. I had The Last of Cuss, which was just a swearing simulator. It's the person who says the worst word last. That's why it's The Last of Cuss. The other one that's come to me, I've been looking there, which is Killbone. So it's not Killzone, it's Killbone. And what it is that you have taken way too much Viagra. And I've got a massive bonk on. You play a guy, obviously. You got a massive bonk on, and you have to go around trying to use it before the lack of blood to your brain kills you. Hence, Killbone. There you go.
Before you pass out, yeah.
From serious questions with genuine answers to Killbone.
Killbone, yeah, good. Yeah, nice to see the progression of class and taste.
So we have one last question, which is a big topic, so we might spend a little bit more time talking than normally with but it's just from our dear friend Enzo. And the question is, this is probably worthy of its own segment, but we're going to try and get through here. Is it time game companies moved away from yearly releases and focused on quality over quantity? So this touches on our Ubisoft question earlier,
Yeah, I mean, I feel this is a fairly leading question as well, and we probably, from listening to us talking our podcast, you probably know what we're going to say here.
Which is that everything should be Elden Ring.
No, everything should be, Cyberpunk but not maybe not Assassin's Creed, even though I do love it anyway. Yes, I do 100% agree that yearly releases are problematic for a lot of reasons, and it generally is about making money rather than making the best possible game when a game becomes a yearly release.
Yeah, I think that yearly releases are inherently... I get the sports title ones a little bit, although I don't like them. I don't think they should be releases. I think they should be upgrades that you can perhaps, refresh and spend a little bit to refresh them. But anyway.
Yeah, basically it's an excuse to reset all your FIFA Ultimate Team.
Yeah, but I think that you don't get a chance to build up the hype and, and the reputation of it. Like, I was thinking about this question, and we were prepping for it. And I would liken, been playing a bit of Horizon Forbidden West before I got addicted to Elden Ring. And the game's really enjoyable. And the combat's really enjoyable, but it is quite similar to the first game. There are tweaks. Obviously, it's a sequel. There's new weapons and better evolution, but the loop and the gameplay cycle was there. But it's still very satisfying because I've not played a game like it since the first one came out, and that's 4 or 5 years. So let's say it's 4 years. So because of that, the gameplay still feels fresh and engaging, and I could quite happily do it. If this was on game 3 or 4 by now, I'd have got bored and just wouldn't have bothered with the games at all. You know, there would be a boredom factor.
Yeah, no, there is that, and you know, I've talked about Assassin's Creed and all of its different guises. I mean, I do like the most recent 3 Assassin's Creed games. I don't really like where they're heading to the live service platform version of it. I feel like it's going in the opposite direction. That's worse than annualized releases. That's just like never-ending live service platform. They have produced some pretty decent action RPGs in that time, but I also feel like you know, in order to kind of hit that target of such big games, they're big open worlds with lots of kind of flags and things to do in them, but you kind of have to have them almost ready 3 years in a row, and the development cycle of these games is a lot longer than each year, so you can't really kind of change a great deal about it you know, year on year as the releases come out. It's kind of a done deal, a done thing that's happening, and you can't make it new, you can't make it fresh, you can't kind of learn from what your previous game was in order to make it that much better for the one that comes out next. You need a bigger gap to kind of learn from what you did, make it better, and make it a more rewarding experience.
Yeah, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, actually, I think part of the problem as well is that with these yearly releases and stuff, as you said, you have to play it safe, you have to reuse it and stuff like that. But maybe just don't make as many big games. Like, you know, if you're trying to make a yearly iteration, like, you know, Valhalla and, you know, Odyssey, what, there's a year or 2 years between them? I can't remember off the top of my head. But
I thought they were a year each. It might have been 2 years between Odyssey,
but definitely
Valhalla,
Origins and Odyssey was 1 year, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Those games are huge, like
huge.
big old games, yeah. And you can't help but think like how much work and resources went into producing essentially 2 games 1 year, which were very structurally similar. You know, why not take some of that resource, spread those games out as your big tempo releases, and release some, like, you know, 9 to 10 hour games, you know, with smaller teams and whatnot that don't require that kind of thing.
Because people don't pay very much for smaller games, and shareholders want all the money.
I know, but it's a bit like, you know, it's a kind of. But if they could be in the same.
I'm not defending it as a practice. I'm just saying that's why they
yeah.
They
But I mean, could you imagine
big tentpole releases every year?
A one-off AC across Assassin's Creed, you know, old school stealth game that's like unlike, you know, it's a single player campaign releasing between spread out ACs. People would love it. You have different genres in it. People would buy it, and it would keep them interested in the franchise whilst being materially different from your big tempo releases. You know, so that you feel that they feel fresher once you've got them out.
Did they try something like that with the Chronicles Assassin's Creed, like the 2.5?
They did. They tried sort of 3 small titles that they bundled together, and I think that would have worked. But I think that's kind of like too small potentially for a large franchise. You know, they were very much like, you know, indie platform game, not indie, but, you know, small platform games.
Yes,
I'm not saying they were bad games. I've never actually played them, admittedly.
But I mean, in theory, you could have an Assassin's Creed game that's set in a much smaller map. I mean, just to use an example from a different franchise, Far Cry Blood Dragon, something that sort of size.
Yeah.
You know, probably wouldn't take that long to make, and probably had more creative, you know, fun in it than, you know, any other Far Cry game I've played, to be honest.
Yeah, and then you could also do things like, you know, it'll be really good, which is that you're in a single location like a castle or a mansion. You got to assassinate your way through it. You know, complete departure to the genre, or something really mental. You know, you could make it a, you know, totally different kind of genre experience. You know, so within that universe. And what is anything? I'm just thinking, you know, you spend all your resources trying to get these yearly results out, and it's the same game because you can't course correct, as you said, and you can't steer it. I don't know. Yeah. That's my thoughts anyway.
I mean, we're focusing on Assassin's Creed, and I don't think, you know, Ubisoft are the great innovators of the world. They're trend followers, and they've basically been trying to make The Witcher 3 for since Origins came out, and they got as close as they're ever going to get with Valhalla.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, again, it's just I think it's a key thing here is that quality over quantity, and, you know, ultimately, I think gamers will wait.
Yeah,
they'll moan, but they'll wait for a good game. They'll moan, but to be honest, I
moaned. I definitely moaned, and I would quite happily still be moaning about the lack of Cyberpunk now if it had been better when it eventually released.
Yeah,
and nobody got suicidal because of crunch or whatever.
No, I agree, and I think that going back to the kind of FromSoft, thing, going back to Elden Ring, which that's been in development for a long time, announced a good few years ago. That's another thing. You give it the time it needs. It bakes in the oven as it needs to. And yes, there's a few bugs when it released, but there weren't like sort of bug-ridden mess or anything. It needed a few patches. But
and not that I want to hold CDPR as a particularly great example, but they do only seem to work on one game at a time. Obviously, the hype train has just started for the next Witcher game coming out there, and as long as they don't mess it up.
In some respects, they're a good example of the smaller game because they released. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They didn't release any major tentpole releases one at a time, but they released a Gwent,
the Gwent
and Thronebreaker, I think, which was a kind of another spin-off Gwentish strategy sort of mini game. Again, not setting the world on fire, but something a bit different, just to keep it going. Rather than being like, oh, we got to throw everything into returning over all this spooge every year.
Yeah, no, I think. I don't just want to say it's a no-brainer. I'm hard to think of trying to be devil's advocate of a reason why, beyond naked capitalism, that the annual releases thing it would be considered to be a good thing. Now, obviously, gamers they like their kind of fix of their favorite games. They possibly like I bought kind of COD year after year when COD was in its heyday. I enjoyed doing the new part and the new multiplayers and all that sort of stuff. But I'm really struggling to think of a way I can justify it beyond because we got to make the money. Yeah,
and I think if there is something where you've got something that needs to be yearly, as I said, like if it was a sports thing, then do it as an upgrade pack. Just be like, okay, I want to buy this season's things, and perhaps every few years there'll be a major incremental change to it. But the glacial changes otherwise. FIFA hasn't really changed massively. I'm sure FIFA purists would tell me it has, but I do believe they overhauled it a few years ago, and what you see now is what you're getting.
I guess. This is what DLC should have been about, rather than selling season passes. This is what DLC should be. Think about the Witcher for DLC. You had the two packs that came out maybe 6 months and then a year after the main game came out. Was it?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe a bit longer with
Blood and Wine. But yeah, like you say, it's there to kind of maintain interest, to get a little bit more life out of the game, perhaps. Okay, I paid for it, but I feel I definitely wasn't ripped off by paying for Blood and Wine and Heart of Stone.
But there you go, gamers. We've sorted that problem out for you. The answer is don't go yearly, go really.
And absolutely, and if anyone can put a better argument than I can forward about why a yearly release schedule is a good thing, why you get better games for it, or why you get a better experience by having an annual release, please let me know, because again, maybe I watch a bit too much of certain other YouTubers, but I can't think of a good reason to do it beyond keeping your shareholders happy.
Yeah.
Please send it in through one of our socials, which I think we're about to start talking about.
Let's wrap up and get onto our socials. How can people get in contact with us at Dante, should they wish to, for non-legal matters?
Should they wish to? No, absolutely no. That other stuff has to go through our various representatives. But to ask questions or to tell me why annual games are great, you can talk to us via the Facebook platform. If you search on Facebook for Jambags, you'll see our logo and you'll be able to connect with the Jambags Comedy Gaming Podcast on there. You can contact us through Twitter at Jambags_UK. You'll find the Rudy Manchego account, and at Dante RDRGZ. JB is the Dante account, and you can contact us through that anytime you want to as well. You can also talk to us via Instagram at Jambags_UK. That's where you'll see various different pictures. I've got a whole post lined up for a lot of my photo mode stuff from Night City coming up, and if you've got any Elden Ring stuff, I'll happily post that on there as well. You can also converse with us via various message boards. In particular, the one I'm thinking about is our YouTube comment section. You can put messages to us in there because we put the podcast up on YouTube, which you might be listening to it now, or various other ways you could be listening to the podcast other than the one you're using now. What are they, Rudy?
Well, as I said, depending on how you listen to it, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, you can catch us on Spotify, and if you've got an app which you get RSS feeds, which you can get on a lot of phones, We're on there, and you can just find the Jambags podcast via that. We go out on RSS feed to lots of podcast player apps, as well as our Simplecast hosting site, and I think Stitcher as well. So no excuse not to listen to us. And if you think, I don't really care about all this kind of audio malarkey, give it to me. You can go to our YouTube channel where we put a version of the podcast on there. It's still audio with some waveforms and some there. And if you can give us reviews, drop us likes, subscribes, all that stuff wherever you do get us. Big help, means we're more discoverable, and maybe some other poor schmuck will have to listen to us as well.
Okay, and please tune in to next month's Jambags. Otherwise, Ma Payne will throw biscuits in your Jambags. Here we go, love. What did you say your name was again?
My name's not important. I'm here to speak to your son, Max Payne. Me and him have got some unfinished business. So why don't you go tell me where your boy is?
That sounds a bit intense. Are you sure you wouldn't like a cup of tea and maybe some hot
Your tea, old lady. I want to know where Max is right now.
Oh, you really shouldn't have used the bad language. Oh, you're such a bad mother. Hot nuts! Johnny Dodgers! Get out of here, Max! I've got your back!
No,
Max,
I'm sorry. I didn't.
Get out! Oh, you messed with the wrong old lady today.